This is without a doubt the most expensive roast I've ever cooked in my life. I didn't buy it off of some fancy butcher. Believe me or not, it took me 8 months of manual labor. I spent the last 8 months raising my own pigs, slaughtering them, and then helped the butcher to cut out all of the pieces. And that presents me with a big problem, because I cannot afford to go in and do another 8 months of work. So today we're gonna find out if it's been worth investing all of my time and a lot of money in creating this beautiful roast. Normally, if you want to cook a roast, you go to the butcher's. But not this time, because this story starts 8 months ago. Because that's when I picked up these two beautiful little piglets. So the plan was to take this old flower garden, put the pigs in, let them roam for about half a year until the soil is completely black and we can put more flowers back in. And for me, these flowers are important because there are a lot of bees and birds that live off of them surrounding our farm. So the pigs had a very important job to do. But at the same time, I was secretly already looking forward to putting them on the barbecue. Now, I actually did this once before, but the meat didn't turn out that great. And I bought a special meat breed. Because these Piétrain pigs are a breed which are like bodybuilders. They pump up muscles like no other breed. And that would give you normally very, very lean meat. But the problem with me is that I'm kind of like a feeder. And I kind of have to self-confess this because I like to feed people. It's kind of my hobby, you know. I get to cook, I feed people, they're happy. What more can you wish for? Well, I do the same thing with my pigs, and you guessed it, either the pigs become too fat or too big. And in this case, well, I think I did it again. Because after feeding these pigs for 8 months, they were absolutely huge. And of course I fed the pigs with the scraps vegetables that we have left over from the cooks, things that came from the garden, but also grains and corn that came from the neighbors that weren't good anymore. And they even ate lots of walnuts and rotten apples and, well, things that make them grow. And of course I added a little extra feed to them just to make sure that they had enough to eat. And then of course they also ate everything that came from that patch of ground. Needless to say, they became very big. But it also put a lot of doubt in my mind. Did I feed them the right things for the meat to taste amazing? Did I make them too big? Did I make them too fat? Are they, well, is the ratio of fat to meat right? What flavor profile am I going to get? All these things, I don't know the outcome. So when the time came and they had to go to the butcher, well, that was the day. Of course, it's never a lot of fun to have your own animals put down, especially when they gave you so much joy. But my biggest concern was about the breed and the way that it builds up muscle. Let me show you a picture of what a true, authentic Piétrain. This is the French style of pronunciation. Piétrain. Piétrain, I think that's the one. Well, let me show you what an animal like that actually should look like. Now that looks like an extreme bodybuilder. And what does pumped up come with? Well, lean. Lean. And very, very lean I'm talking about. I'm talking about only meat. And if I have only meat, that means it's gonna be crap for barbecue. And that will be very bad because I want to put everything on a barbecue and I want fat for flavor. So when I went to my butcher, Gert-Jan van der Horst, after 2 days and I saw my pig hanging there, needless to say, I was relieved in a big way because this was absolute perfection. I spent about 5 hours working side by side with my butcher, slicing up the pork, and probably about half of what I'm cutting out is going back to be sold to friends and family just to recover a little bit of the cost that I made. Because I haven't been talking about cost, but, oh man. You gotta think about the feed. Slaughtering the pigs, transportation cost, housing, fixing the ground and the land after the pigs are gone. It's just an insane amount of work. Working every day with these pigs, buying them lots of food, watering them, spending all that money. At some point you're just thinking, man, I must be crazy. This is such a bad idea. Now I kind of have an idea what a farmer feels like, but that's probably 10 times worse. I know I'm a very inefficient farmer, and I wonder, is it going to be worth it? Is this meat going to be as delicious as I hope it's going to be? Let's find out, because This is going to be the biggest and the first cut that we're going to be cooking out of these pigs. Maybe I need to become a bodybuilder myself. Wow! This is the king of roast that comes from a pig. It is the rib roast version of the beef rib roast, but I doubled down and I have 12 ribs here sitting on this roast, which means this is the biggest version. And then with these huge pigs, man, we've got a big roast. I think we're breaking some kind of record here, but I could be wrong. And this roast was cut. My broertje Gertjan cut it out from the midsection of the pig, cleared the bones and took off the skin so that we have this beautiful end result. And I'm really glad that a professional did it, because I could have tried some myself, but it wouldn't look as good as it does right now. Of course, I have to prepare this, but that honestly is also my biggest worry at this point. I can't have in any way, shape or form have a messed up rib roast after all that work. So I'm going to take every precaution to get the best end result I can get. I'm going to start by making an injection brine of 1 liter of water, 50 grams of salt and about 20 grams of sugar. And the sugar is optional. Mix it up and then you can start injecting it in the meat. Now this does two things for you. One, it's going to boost the flavors of the pork, because better pork flavor means a better end result. Two, it helps the meat hold on to its juices. The more salt and more sugar is in the meat, the easier it holds on to the moisture. And it's basically your fastest way to brine your roast. The second thing that I'm going to do to make this roast extremely good is carve into the fat cap. I left most of the fat on so that I can carve into it, because I don't want the fat to just lay on top of it. No, I want it to melt and become this delicious treat that sits on top. And that's why I'm slicing into it diagonally and then across diagonal. So I'm creating these individual caps that you can just later slice off, and you can even pick them off by hand. And then I'm going to fill those gaps up with salt, but not just any salt. I'm going to use a light sea salt, a type of salt that dissolves very easily. So while the cooking is going on, the fat crispens up, the salt dissolves and actually drips into the fire and disappears from the meat, leaving behind a little trace of crispy fat, which is nice and salty. And last but not least, I'm going to season the pork roast with the PitmasterX pork seasoning. I'm going to follow it up with some PitmasterX Texas style seasoning, and that's going to give it a nice crust and texture at the same time. I think it's about time we start roasting this bad boy. And as you saw, I already fired up my Monolith, and this is actually the best built ceramic barbecue that you can currently buy on the market. I loaded it up with some charcoal, put in a fire starter, lit it up and dialed in the temperature to about 140 degrees Celsius. Time to put the roast on the barbecue, meat side down, fat cap up, and I just hope it's going to fit. Oh yeah, I'm so glad we got this big grill. It just about fits. Look at how snug it sits, insane. After the core temperature reached 65 degrees Celsius, it's safe to take it off. And wow, what a beauty. Never in my wildest dreams did I think it would look as good as this. This thing is absolutely insane. It looks so juicy and so crunchy at the same time. A little bit of crispiness on the pork fat right here. It is fantastic. And if you could only smell what I'm smelling at this moment. And it's super hard because right now I cannot slice into it and start eating it. I gotta let it rest. I cooked it for about 3.5 to 4 hours. And in the end, I turned up the heat a little bit to get this crust on. But overall, it was the perfect cooking session. Look, the bones are not even burned. Everything looks absolutely fantastic. And I don't want to mess it up in the last minute by slicing right into it. I'm just gonna talk to you until, this piece fell out. And the piece that I'm talking about, that is a piece of melted fat. Salt and melted fat. Oh, that is so good. Totally worth it already. And now I still have to wait. It's super hard not to eat every little piece of it. Wow. Look at how juicy. Whoa, that is insane. That looks so good. All of it's super juicy. I'm gonna take a bite. I'm gonna find out if it's worth all of the work. The 8 months, all of the money. Man, I'm super hungry. I hope this worked out and I hope it's worth doing again. Wow. The amount of flavor. So juicy. It's delicious. It is. It is phenomenal. I don't know what to tell you. If you got a patch of land and you got a little bit of money left and you got a lot of time, perhaps you need to give it a try. So the big question is, was it worth it? Well, I'm thinking about it really, really hard. And the upside is that the meat is bigger and it tastes amazing. Well, can I actually taste the difference between what I normally ate, which is also high quality pork, and my own pork? I don't honestly. There's a little bit of difference. The meat's a little bit of, well, coarser in structure, but at the same time, it's actually, I don't know, it's a little bit more flavorful. And so, yeah, it's kind of like, well, not a lot better. But the biggest plus for me is the size of the meat. It is so much bigger. It's insane. So if I barbecue, for instance, I got a rack of ribs in my freezer. Now that is 3 times the size of the rack of ribs that I would normally have. And that makes me happy. And I'll show you in another video, but it is insane. It is literally mind-blowing how big it is. But let's be honest, should I be taking care of the pig for 8 months and I'm paying all that money just to raise it and butcher it and do all the work? I don't think it pays off. It's not efficient. It's not giving me anything. But I think I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. I just fallen in love with these pigs. They're so much fun and they're so big. Well, I know it doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. I'm gonna figure out how to eat all of this. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, then leave us a big thumbs up and a comment down below. See you guys in the next video. Until then, eet smakelijk and keep on grilling.